He did it again. He did it again. He did it again.
I love you.
March Madness. March Madness, Madness. March Madness 2.
You can see it when you see me, but you have to
Sick it now. Hell yeah. I know my dogs are watching. And if you ain't, I know you will be. And if you are watching and you ain't my dog yet, you will be, because I'm Swede and I'm here to help you get busy living. We got 10 months down. We got 45 more to go. What's that? The Get Busy Living Project. That's 55 months in a row of at least one epic adventure every single month. But tonight, we're attacking anxiety by understanding the dynamics of human nature and exploring some cool new science and asking, are vibes real? Are vibes real? But first, since nothing is worth having if it ain't worth sharing, please help me welcome to the show my fabulous co-pilot, one of my all-time favorite humans, an entrepreneur out of LA. Please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the dynamic D-Rex.
Thank you for your warm welcome once again. I am, again, so happy to be here. And I see some people here as well. So I'm so happy to see you too. So if you are here and you want to say hi in the comments so we can see who you are, that would be awesome. I actually cannot wait to start talking about this topic today. Are vibes real? Well, that's something I could talk about for hours and hours and hours. And I think
Well,
that most people have felt somebody's vibe. So I think we could safely say that there's something to it. So I can't wait to start talking more about that. And I definitely want you guys to chime in the comments about what you think at every
hell yeah.
point, because we're going to include you in the conversation.
Well, Boozy says, hell yeah, vibes are real. What's up, sis? For real, y'all. As we grow and keep going, more and more people are saying, man, I'm so proud of you that you're sticking with it. It's like the first 6 months, nobody believes you're going to do it, So
Mm-hmm.
6 months from now, more and more people are going to realize what we're doing here. And then this comment section is going to be kind of crowded, and I'm looking forward to that. But I like this, being able to say hello. And guys, really do speak up and let us know what you think about what we're talking about, because the idea is to try to help us laugh along with you laughing. And when it comes to that, the vibe gets even that much more real the more you guys participate with us. But speaking of vibes, D-Rex, this anxiety thing is brand new to me.
Yeah, I've noticed how it's been affecting you in your daily life, and your unusually unusually low mood here and there, and it's really unusual for you. I mean, everybody who knows you knows that is unusual. And I think that it's also a normal thing for people to feel anxiety, and a lot of people experience it. And not everybody experiences it, but everybody understands that it's a real thing. And it needs to be thought about and solved in everybody's own individual way. So, in no way are we preaching any advice, and we are not psychologists. But we'd just like to talk about the issue of feeling anxiety, whether it's one thing or a million things in your life, and how you might tackle that and go forward toward the future that you're envisioning.
It is new. And I've been preaching about starting with the end in mind. Imagine your best case scenario. What's the best possible outcome for your life? Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine the phone or the doorbell ringing.
I imagined that. I imagined it
Knock,
happening.
knock, who's here? It's your best case scenario. No, but once you got that, then you reverse engineer it all the way back to where you are. And if all of the things that need to happen in order for your best case scenario are not humanly possible to reverse engineer to where you are, like if it's going to take a miracle, like if you want to be able to slam dunk a basketball, you might not be able to get there, or you might have to compromise your plan and include using a trampoline. You know what I'm saying? Like, but during the times of that, when you're confronted with the moment that you aren't going to be able to slam dunk the basketball, and you're confronted with, am I going to give up, or am I going to improvise, or am I going to like come up with a way around it? Sometimes those moments just like are too real, and like you're confronted with actually not being able to like make it happen, and that's new to me. And I really hope that people are going to be able to look back at this and say that they grew up with us, because this Get Busy Living project is 55 months. We're going to be different 55 months later, especially if we keep on tackling subjects like this, for each other and for our audience.
I agree. I feel like this podcast is, it might be therapy for some of you in the comment section, but it's always therapy for Swede and I every week. When we tackle these issues, there's always a lot of learning and growing. So I can imagine that at the end of this, it's not going to really be the end of this project, but there's kind of a finish line for a certain aspect of the project.
Right,
we're going to be completely different people.
Yeah.
And, I think that for me, it's not quite anxiety, because I know that that's a thing that is much deeper than what I feel. But often, I feel that I've bitten off more than I can chew. And there's a big mountain of tasks in front of me that I don't know where to start. I can't even start because I don't know where to start. And what do we call? We call that eating the elephant one bite at a time, because that's what you need to do. You need to take one thing at a time. So lately, what I've been doing, my elephant in front of me, is I've been doing kind of a brain dump where everything that's running through my head, I'm just writing down on paper. Things that need to get done, write it down. So I keep this list in clear view at all times. And the minute I think of one piece of the elephant that needs to be eaten, I write it down on the paper. And then eventually this becomes a big task list, which is like the big picture. And then I'll sit down with my big task list and I'll pull the more immediate things out of there and I'll put them on a little task list, like a immediately to do. And from there, I figure out the most low-hanging fruit that I can catch, And I start there. I start with that one bite. Aaron says, "How do you eat a whale?" Same thing. Yep. Jinx. All right, we got lots of friends here. I'm so happy to see you all. So
You got me with that.
What? How do you eat a whale? Or cabs are here.
How do you eat a whale?
I think that's the first time your doorbell rang during this podcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my technique for my not anxiety, but when I get overwhelmed. But I think that what you're talking about here is anxiety, and it's deeper than that. It's deeper than overwhelmed. Like, what would you say the feelings are like?
Well, no, they are. It is overwhelming, and it is realizing that you've bitten off more than you can chew. That's a lot of it, But I think that part of it for me recently has been the reality of my medical situation. I got to be honest, man. From the time that I got injured, and they told me that that this condition comes with so much collateral damage. Like your body's not supposed to not move, and I'm not supposed to be horizontal like I am all the time like this,
Mm-hmm.
And so I never had a moment of fear or doubt. But man, the blows keep coming. The blows just keep on coming.
They do.
And so I'm not saying that I'm having fear or doubt. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the blows. Keep it on
I
camera.
get it.
Can I get a breather? Can round one end? Or maybe this isn't round one, but good Lord.
I feel like you've had a few rounds. You've had a few rounds. So, do you have any techniques to get through periods like this? Like, have you been researching this?
Absolutely. Well, aside from that, I've been asked that question by a professional recently, because I've gone in and out of depression since I've been injured. Didn't know that what depression really was. I have a whole new respect for it now. Um, but recently I was asked that question, and the reason that I haven't resorted to medication, a lot of people turn to medication. I have, but recently the reason I haven't, even though it's been an onslaught, is the answer to her question was I got D-Rex. That's been very helpful, and that's what I mean. I hope that people can look back on this and know we're keeping it real every Thursday here, y'all. Like, this is real life, how to get busy living, and I'm starting from scratch, and I'm trying to dig out of a hole. A lot of you guys are on your feet, you know what I mean? It's easier to get busy living when you're starting off a higher platform. So if I can do it, and if D-Rex can help me get out of this hole, then we can set some examples and share the experience and hopefully inspire you guys, to get out of your own holes. That's the real deal.
Can I just give a very quick background for anybody who's tuning in who might not know the story? Swede and I went to high school together a long time ago. We've been friends a long, 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 long time. I feel like he's my twin brother in this universe. And there was a moment where we got a little disconnected in life, and he went off and got himself injured. And now he's in a powered wheelchair, but he has come back so far. And I think that a lot of people may not be able to see in this podcast that you're actually in a powered wheelchair. I think that your vibe is so good and so natural that what?
No.
What happened?
I don't know. I thought the universe quit on us. That was such a profound moment.
I don't know what happened. Okay. I think that some people may not be able to tell that. So I think that that's important to note, is that there's a lot that you've overcome already just to be here for this podcast every week, just to be back to being able to see friends and go where you want to go and live the life you want to live. You've overcome so much already. And you would think that you'd be like, I won, and it'd be like, everything's good now. But it's just like, there's still things to fight.
Yeah, I mean, a long way. Maybe I have come, but there's a long, long way to go still. And here's the thing: no fear, no doubt. Like, I'm gonna keep on punching. It's just punching me. I'm gonna keep punching back. There's no quit in me, for sure. But you left out the best part of that little background story, is that for all of the times I've been told that I'm an inspiration to people, come on, man. I came out of a coma. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. I came out of a coma and was told, I was shown a video that had 20,000 live views, and during that time on that video, I told everyone that if you help me out of this jam, I'd throw you a huge, huge party. And imagine the inspiration when the true story is that they actually chipped in and helped you out of the jam, $100,000 in a week. And I mean, my life was saved by fundraising for the first 6 months of my life, completely supported by fundraising, by you guys. So, I mean, that's the best part. That's the inspiration. That's what I'm kicking it for. I owe you guys a huge, huge party. 55 months in a row of epic adventures every single month, trying to inspire you guys to get busy living with us, and then we'll throw the party. But the inspiration comes from that human kindness that was bestowed upon me. That's it, man. Like, you guys helped me out, and I'm going to try to keep my word, but I'm going to try to help people in the process. Man, it's harder to help others when I keep on getting blown up all the time, man.
I think that's actually a super important part of it is, when you're feeling like you're getting knocked around a bit, actually helping others at that point is a huge help to get you out of your own head. For me, even though I'm overwhelmed, I still took on some foster kittens, and it makes my life incredibly crazy and difficult. But knowing that I saved 2 lives really changes things for me and helps me keep perspective. Like you can still do more. And I don't like to tell people that because I feel like maybe that is toxic positivity, but you get overwhelmed, but then you just do one more thing and you're like, oh, I can still do more.
Okay. So just one more thing. That's like the fine line. I'm glad you identified that because, we're talking about trying to like getting busy living is a big picture thing, right? It's an attitude towards life. It's a getting and the getting busy, and so when you're trying to get it and you feel like, hope is lost and man, like that anxiety that can overwhelm you, feeling like it's too far gone or there's no way to do it or, or just like you're on this hamster wheel or you're in that rat race or you're just like feeling underwater, that anxiety that can overwhelm you. And
Mhm.
and we're talking about remedies, and the proposed remedies, you know, beg to question, is there such a thing as toxic positivity? What is that? When people say, "Oh, don't think about that. Just think positive." Those problems aren't real. Just don't worry, be happy. We've talked about this, and it's so talk about toxic positivity, D-Rex. Is that real? I mean, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some elements of toxic positivity, what people say that it is, that I actually use all the time to dig myself out of a hole. So maybe I'm more toxic than I thought. But, because
No,
I
you're
like to
just
tell
an
myself,
expert on
well,
the field.
maybe like I guess that an example of toxic positivity is saying, well, things could always be worse. But that actually helps me. Like
Yeah.
realizing like, hey, wait a second, is this the worst thing that could happen to you? And often the answer is no. And I just want to back up for a second when you said something about you're not quitting. And sometimes it's easy to just even quit temporarily just because you just want to not think, you want to get on your phone or whatever. But I would just like to offer the one thing that I have realized lately that helps me keep going without quitting for the day is I just tell myself one more thing. And I do one more thing, even if it's small, like putting a pen back in the pen jar. And as soon as I do that, I go, one more thing. And then I see what the next thing. Oh, there's a bobby pin out of place. Okay, one more thing. And I just keep doing one more thing. And I get on a roll actually. And I end up doing many,
A
many
whole
little
bunch more
things
things. Yeah.
that make my entire life easier because I'm cleaning things up, I'm clearing the clutter out. And I love my one more thing game. That's my new game when I'm feeling overwhelmed and there's too much elephant.
You're uniquely motivated, but that's something that we can all relate to. We've all heard the expression, just eat the elephant one bite at a time. First, you have to acknowledge that it's just an elephant. It's not your life is not over. And that's what,
Acknowledging that's what makes it not toxic positivity, is saying this elephant is annoying to me. This is making me sad and overwhelmed. I feel a certain way about this elephant. I hope that you don't take that sound bite out and use it on the internet.
digging elephants.
But I think that's the difference. I think that positive thinking is a real thing, a real technique we can use to make our lives better. But it's only toxic if you don't stop and say, oh, this elephant really messed me up. I'm sad about it, but then you have to turn it around, and you do have to change your vibe.
It's toxic if you're invalidating that it's bad. If you're just like
Yeah.
trying to act like, oh man, no problem, nothing can stop me, or it's not real, or there's nothing worse when somebody else, like when you're trying to like figure stuff out and figure out how you're gonna feel about something, and somebody comes up and invalidates you, that it's even worth a second thought. That's toxic when they're ignoring that it's real. you know. And
Hmm.
let's talk about some elephants. We got a bunch of elephants in this room here. My man Smiles is in the house. What's up, dog? And Nate, you can't call me 10 minutes before I'm going live. I'm like, dude,
Well, I mean, people are ringing your doorbell too.
oh,
You're a very
that
popular
was Nate. He
person
said
today.
pizza's here, dude. Did you order pizza? Is that what that was? Who was at the door? Did you order
I
me
don't know.
pizza, dude? I'll
Well,
laugh
somebody
my
else said the cab is here. So
Oh,
who
that's
knows what that was. Yes, there are so many friends here. Oh man, if you want to put some things up on screen, um,
well,
that
we
would
always
be
gotta say what up to
wonderful.
Scooty Wells, the wolf. Speaking of, the best part of the story, man. I always tell Scooty Wells, I can't wait for this movie to come out, man. Because what actor are we gonna get to play Scooty Wells, the main character? The dude that was answering the phone and like riding on the jet with his, like quitting his job and like flying across the world. That's my hero, my dog, Scooty Wells. It's in the
Hmm.
house.
Yeah, definitely. What do you call him? Your ace boon coon.
That's a boogie term, but yeah, I picked it up from Bug 15 years ago, and I've been calling people that ever since. And I hear
Okay.
even Scooty Wells, like Bug, you've infested the whole crew with a spoon coon term.
I would
It's
like
just sounds
to.
fun to say.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's a nice term. Aaron says, I think it's bad if you use it on someone else. I'm not sure what you mean. I'd like you to clarify that, Aaron. Because I'm not sure if you mean like setting intentions. Of course, you can't use your positive thinking to change other people, but boy, does it change you yourself. There's there's no denying that. I want to talk about your meditations recently.
Yeah, but I can't help. I gotta mention this. The good vibes lady.
Uh huh.
Like we're
What's it
talking
say?
about our good vibes real, and
Hmm.
we have a good vibes lady in the show today, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen. Hell
nice.
yeah.
Hi, good
She
vibes,
said
lady.
anxiety makes me wake up at night worry, but I've learned to meditate myself to sleep. So what we've been doing, something that D-Rex kind of like caught me with last summer was this 10 minutes in heaven thing, where um, multiple times a day. I think when we first started doing it together, it was like 3 times a day. I mean, I'm just doing it once a day now, but once a day, just surround yourself with darkness and shut everything off. Set yourself a 10-minute timer and just relax in your head and try to shut all of your senses off. And what this does is it gives you an opportunity to just only be in your imagination and start imagining heaven for 10 minutes. Like heaven's different to everybody. I happen to believe heaven's on earth, but I mean, I did before, I had the devil come at me and try to take my entire existence. But 10 minutes in heaven is imagine your best case scenario. What do you want in this life? And if you could have it all, what would it all look like? What would it smell like? Where would you be? Who would you be with? Like what clothes would you be wearing? What terrain would you be, traversing? Would you be
And
skiing?
most importantly, how would it feel?
How would it feel? Yeah, you want to completely shut off your current emotions and all of your current senses and try to detach from everything and just go into your head and only follow your emotions to that moment. Imagine sometime in the future, whether it's 5 years or 10 years or 5 months or 10 days, that it's the best thing that could be happening for you. And put yourself in that mode. And when you put yourself in that mode and you do that for 10 minutes, by the time you come out of it, you gotta like you find your mind wandering. You gotta don't allow your mind to wander. Continue focusing and imagining and feeling the way it feels to have your best case scenario be achieved. And I'm telling you, man, that 10 minutes in heaven, it completely, you can come out. I have a walk-in closet a drive-in closet. I have a closet big enough to drive in. And I go in there and I slide the door shut and I turn my ringer off and I put 10 minutes on my timer and I just roll my eyes back in my head and I imagine all of you guys passing that microphone around the stadium talking about what month you were on when you realized that the Get Busy Living project was in full effect and that you subscribed and you shared and you helped and then we raised enough dough to bring people with us. And by the time the project 55 is done, like there's a ton of us in there. That's my 10 minutes in heaven. My heaven moment is going to be when we've helped 10 others and then that helping 10 others perpetuated into helping so many that everybody's there. And it actually is a huge, huge party. Can you imagine that day, D-Rex? Imagine that day.
I've imagined it a million times.
A million times.
I've a million times. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm prone to hyperbole. Okay,
That's okay.
so Erin has explained what she was saying. Invalidating what someone is going through with toxic positivity by saying it could be worse. So if I were to tell somebody else that, that's toxic. But yeah, I do like to tell myself that.
Yes. And that's the key, because, all of this stuff, it's a battle with yourself. It's never really about what other people are doing. Very rarely is there somebody out there holding you down. We've talked about surrounding yourself with higher quality people if you want to increase your own quality, and that stuff does matter too. But it's very rare that like you got some politician across the hallway, trying to take your story, and ruin your life. It's always it's us against ourselves. So if you're toxically positive, that's telling other people that their problems aren't real. Don't do that. Everybody's problems are real.
I actually struggle myself with how to comfort people without going to the mindset training and the positive thinking. And honestly, all I guess I really have to say is I'm here for you, right?
That's it. People just want to have somebody listening. It's rare that we don't already know the answers to our problems. That's the thing that makes us such a mind fuck, is that we usually know what we're doing wrong. Usually our problem is that we are aware of our problems and we haven't done anything to fix them yet. We're just not facing our own stuff a lot of the times, So a lot of times we just want to be heard. We're misery breeds company for a reason. We are communal creatures. We lean on each other for support. We help each other out. And sometimes we just want to talk about our problems and have them be heard. And then talking about them, saying them out loud and having them heard. Like if you're talking to yourself, that's just like thinking to yourself, that's the tree falling in the woods and having nobody know if it really made a sound. So that's how we feel. Like if there's nobody listening to us, then we feel like our problems aren't really being heard and felt, and it feels good to unload. So when you're doing that and somebody's telling you that your problems aren't real, that's toxic.
Toxic. And I think that, it's rarer than people being supportive and listening. So that's a good thing. But I think that some people get addicted to unloading. They get addicted to complaining. And I think this is where we get into talking about vibes, because the more you complain, the more you're bringing that negative activity to you, because it's almost like you're saying, I like to do this. I like to complain. So give me things to complain about. So you all know people who you've talked to either on the phone or in person, and afterwards you feel completely emotionally drained. We all know one. You don't have to say in the comments who, but you can give a hell yeah. But you know what I'm talking about, or the people where you feel like they just complained at you the whole time, and nothing really happened except for they just unloaded a bunch, and you feel terrible afterwards. I don't think there's a single person that would say vibes aren't real. Everyone's felt that. Everyone's felt when somebody's staring at them across the room. And there's plenty of times where you're thinking of somebody and they call you,
So funny you mentioned that. And we've been talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza. The science behind this is amazing. Actually having intentions, your vibes, like this is what string theory is. And if you know anything about like leading cutting edge science on the most like craziest, trying to explain how we're all here, string theory is like the latest thing. And it's a theory that just like a guitar string vibrates, and that vibration is what makes you can sense that. You close your eyes and you can sense that guitar string vibrating by a frequency coming at you. It's just like tuning into the frequency of a radio. You can tune into a radio frequency and you can learn what somebody is saying, on the other side of the planet, almost in real time, just because of a radio frequency. So whether it's a color or it's a radio frequency or it's an actual solid thing you're touching, it's all just a vibrating guitar string having its amount of information. And so the theory that Dispenza is spreading is not the theory that he's spreading, but the way he encourages thinking about it or acknowledges that it's real, is he describes intelligence as just being an exchange of information. It's either a yes or a no, all the way down to the bare bones. It's either there is or there isn't. It's a yin or a yang. It's the end of a frequency. It's the difference in between the yes and the no. And so when you think on this level of information being able to be distributed by these frequencies, the fact that humans, you can know when somebody walks in the room and you don't even have to look. If somebody's pissed off and they walk in a room, you can feel it, right? These are just frequencies that we're able to put off. And in order to prove that they're real, there's a slide in the in Joe Dispenza's book that like really hammers this home. So check this out, y'all. This experiment really does prove that vibes are real on another level. So what this guy did, Rene Piache, I believe is how the narrator says it. He did this study. So it's proven that chicks, let me just take this little thing off of here.
Yeah, I was looking for how to do that.
It's proven that when a chick is born, when a chick is born, they will take a liking to whatever entity is there, whether it's their mother hen or if it's a robot. So what these guys did, and they actually do, like they hatch chicks and they put them in this room with this robot, and the chicks will follow the robot around. Well, what this robot is it's a random event generator, meaning every time it's time for it to change directions, it randomly changes either right or left. It's designed to do it equal over time, 50% left, 50% right. That's the only thing this robot knows how to do is 50% left, 50% right. That's all. Okay. So what they did is they took this robot and they hatched a bunch of chicks around it. So what did the chicks do? They fell in love with the robot, right? Fell in love with the robot, followed it around. So then they put these chicks in this thing and they followed this robot around, and then they took the chicks out of where the robot, and they tracked where it was. So in the top, this top span here, the top box is the path of the robot after or during the chicks loving on it and following it around for X amount of time. And then they separate the chicks and put the chicks on the other side of a wall. And they put the robot in there and let the robot keep going.
Or they kept the robot in the room it was in, right?
Yeah, they kept the robot. And so in the bottom here is the path of the robot. They didn't change the robot programming, but the robot stayed near the chicks. How do you explain that this robot that is designed to randomly turn left or right suddenly turns towards the chicks so much more often? If there is not a sense that we as humans are not talking about and acknowledging, a way of feeling and communicating and manifesting, if there's not a way to put out a vibe and to get what you want, how do you explain this robot moving towards the chicks? That adoration, these chicks, the love that these chicks are putting off for this robot, the robot can feel. That's proof.
It's all energy.
It's exactly right.
This phone is energy. Everything on Earth is made of energy. Molecules moving at a certain speed. Everything on Earth. So why would it be the case that our thought energy would not affect things? I think that there's so much that we don't know as humans, and we're so quick to say, yeah, but there's no studies. And just because there's no studies doesn't mean it's not a thing.
Yeah.
We haven't studied things we don't have words for. We haven't studied things we don't know exist. Dogs only see in 2 colors. They only think those 2 colors exist. And we only think these 3 colors exist. But there are many, many more colors. We don't see an ultraviolet, And before we even knew what it was, we didn't know to study it. So it didn't exist.
Yeah. There's an interesting thing about the color blue. For thousands of years, we didn't see blue. Nowhere in literature for thousands of years do they describe the sky or the ocean as blue, because blue almost never occurs in nature. Even blue berries are more black or purple. All of the things that we've experienced in our lives, blood, flesh, hair, these things are blue. There's not even, we don't talk about blue eyes throughout the course of history. It's we are a vessel, and we have, we can see colors from a distance because of our eyes. But what is it? Our eyes aren't reaching out and touching those colors. How else do we sense them? How do you explain it? Well, it's a frequency, and like our ears. So there's this part of our body. There's a part of our body that can feel touch and that can sense the sunlight, and there's a part of our body that can see light, and there's a part of our body that can hear it. Whether it's a light or a sound, it's all frequencies. And so when you put your mind to, when your thought, a thought is a frequency. So you can actually close off your senses and learn how to program your mind to send out frequencies. And people are actually communicating telepathically. And in some ways, not predicting the future, like using the force to lift up the Millennium Falcon, but putting out that you want things and learning how to. We don't necessarily like know the how, as far as like down to the measuring the actual what the frequency looks like, but they know it so intricately. They're studying this stuff so closely that we as humans are measuring ourselves, doing collective positive thoughts, and having the outcomes happen in other places, and measuring the brain waves, and knowing when people are receiving the positive thoughts that others are sending. It's mind blowing. The book that I got this study out of is called Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. Man, I'm telling you, Gary, I need to get Gary on the show. Gary broke this or hit me up last summer out of nowhere. This is a guy I knew from Australia. In fact, I think he was rather recent in my memories when we first started podcasting. So we may have already talked about Gary at one point or another. We need to get him on the show. But Gary hit me up and was like, "Sweet, I've been thinking about you, and I just had to hit you up." And he's one that told me about Joe Dispenza, and I bought the book. I've gifted the book to probably like 8 people now. I mean, I'm a huge believer. This is legit, like how humans are actually scientifically able to manifest your destiny. I mean, I told Lyric it's Jedi training, and that's what it feels like. It feels like Jedi.
It does feel like that. Let's talk about that word manifest for a second, because I don't want people to get it twisted. That's me being trendy talk lady here. But, I think that when people hear, the word,
Go ahead.
well, I didn't know. I can't even speak anymore without saying weird words that I learned on the internet. They've become part of me. But, the word manifesting, somebody who might be very religious might not like that word. They would say, I use prayer to talk to God to get what I need. And I don't see a huge difference between prayer, manifestation, meditation. There are differences, in who you believe you're talking to, but it's kind of the same, where you're reaching out, you're asking for something, and you're using meditational techniques to do so, and you're getting yourself in that certain brainwave pattern, that meditational brainwave pattern that makes this communication possible. And I think that if we use the word manifestation, I hope that it doesn't put some people off. But I really believe that if you put yourself in that right vibe and you feel the energy of that future that you want, whether those vibes are going to bring you that future directly, I don't know. But what I do know is that when you put those vibes out there and you feel that energy of what it would feel like to be in that future that you want, it definitely affects everyone around you. When you set your vibe right, it affects your entire life, because everybody around you feels it. And they want to be near you, and they want to help you out in any way they can, because they like being around you, because it feels good for some reason, whether they know why or not. But that's a huge part of that meditation, is feeling the future feelings of having that thing that you want. And that gets you in the right vibe always. Have you ever come out of one of those meditations of of trying your hardest to feel that vibe and stay in that moment. Have you ever come out of one of those meditations and was like, eh?
Not once. There's been times where I've noticed that my mind wandered more and it was less effective, but none of the times where I've actually said, "Yeah, man, I did it right," and it didn't work. Every time I've done it right, it works. And by doing it right, it means really just truly neglecting all of your worries and thoughts and shutting off your senses and just folding back into your own mind and imagining where you want to be, imagining your best case scenario. If you get there, it's foolproof. It absolutely changes how you feel. It's a physical change, it's a mental change, it's an attitude change, it's a spiritual change.
Energy change.
All of these things, yeah, they're all, yeah. And this how to explain it stuff. There's a lot of tiers to this, and all of them have been explained at some point in history, whether it's religious or otherwise. Like one theory is that when you think about your best case scenario, or you are manifesting, or you are praying, all of these things are just it's a sentiment, sent outside of yourself, where you're trying to imagine. It's an imagination thing, and it's with a desired outcome. And whether it's that some external force makes it happen, and you want to call it a god, or if it's a micro force like we're talking about, a vibe that can actually is intelligence that communicates, or if you think that it's just a coincidence that because you spend so much time thinking about it, you're going to spend more time subconsciously falling in that. Even if you're failing, you're falling in that direction. And so you could subconsciously be more aware of it when it happens because you've been thinking about it. That might work too. That's how I personally feel, is the best way to describe karma, which I am a huge believer in. And I know that it's been westernized and such, but karma is as old as religion. And it's a concept that is, present throughout religions and described in different ways. But my personal belief about it isn't that, the original Buddhist belief is that it's a result. You living a good life, good karma means your next life is gonna be even better. And if you do good things, then good things will be done unto you. Well, I believe that it's not. I don't believe in reincarnation per se, the way they believe in it. I don't know what happens after we die, if there's another level, but in the way that the Buddhists believe karma, I don't believe that it's that. I believe it's more that when you are doing good things, if you feel about yourself, it's all about your opinion of yourself. To me, if you feel that you're a good person, and when good things happen to you, you will feel as though you deserved them. And that perpetuates feeling like a good person even more. And so if you're a shithead, when shitty things happen to you, you're going to have this I'm a shithead attitude about yourself, and you're going to feel that even more. And when good things happen to you and you're a shithead, you don't think you deserve them, so you don't even give them as much play. And it's in the other way around. When you're a good dude and bad things happen to you, you don't feel guilty about it, so you don't let them bother you. You don't it's not like, when we've done shitty things and then later on in life had those shitty things happen to us or done unto us, we remember it. To me, that's that's karma, is like whether or not you believe you deserve it. And if you do, and it's good, then you feel good. And if you do and it's bad, then you feel bad. And even if it's subconscious, I believe that our it's like guilt. Karma could be called guilt in other ways.
Let's just talk for a second about, sure, I do believe in karma in a way where, yeah, the vibe you put out is the vibe you're going to get back mostly. But there's always bad things that happen to good people, and there are good things that happen to bad people. And it's a combination of those two things. Like, I think that, you get sick, it's not because you deserved it. I think that's part of the toxic culture, but
yeah,
it's there's plenty of
that's what you get. I had people say that about me. There's
plenty of things that are just accidents. There are true coincidences, right? There are true coincidences, but there are definitely coincidences that are more like synchronicities. And I think that it's much easier to identify these synchronicities when you're doing this work of maintaining your high vibes, and that was another example of toxic positivity. Good vibes only. I don't say that, but I think that you should definitely work on putting the right vibes out into the world. And most good things will come back to you. Now, when something bad happens to you, it doesn't mean you're messing up in your meditation. But
Right.
there's a lot of coincidences, but let's talk about the synchronicities for a second. So, if you're open to believing that not every coincidence is just a coincidence, sometimes things are happening for you. And if you follow that path, if you follow the flow, life just goes so much easier and more toward your goals. And this has happened to me so many times. And it happened a lot recently where I wasn't even intending to put an intention out into the universe, but I did because I was thinking so hard about things. And then they just walked into my life. And I was like, oh, well, you could say, well, that was lucky. But was it? Was it luck? Or did some karma happen there,
Exactly. I feel like the times when I've been bumming around, getting busy living isn't easy for everyone. Some people, they've got a little bit more of an opportunity. Let's be real. And some people have a harder, a crappier hand dealt to them. But the point is that on a daily basis, remind yourself, that that what you want already exists. You just have to go after it. And it's up to you to go after it. I love the quote by Henry Ford. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you're right. So believe that although no, you might not be able to literally dunk a basketball, whatever your slam dunk goal is, there's some rendition of that out there for you. And if you think you can get it, you can. And here's the beauty of it is rarely will you find people that are go-getters in their life and believing that they could get things in life. In the end, be like, man, I was wrong.
Yeah.
65 or 85, be like, I worked my ass off my whole life and I believed in myself and I thought I could live a great life and I just kept on going. And then I ended up being wrong. I wish I wouldn't have done that. Never. But you know what they say is the number one thing that people regret when they die is not the things that they did. I'm not going to regret chasing that monkey. The things that people regret are the things that they don't do. And that's why I've been, this is the Get Busy Living podcast. And me and Scooty Wells talked back in 2016 about having a Get Busy Living program where we were going to help other people, figure out ways to get out of the rat race. But you look up the Get Busy Living hashtag and it's been around. I've been typing it just the way this podcast is spelled. I've been typing Get Busy Living just like that for 10 years. When I first learned what a hashtag was and it wasn't how many pounds it was, I was like, oh, this is one, Get Busy Living. It's an attitude, go for it, try. And if you love something, if you love it, if you want it so much that you're in love with it, you're obsessed by it, you're driven, it helps you, it's your purpose, it's your why, it's your reason, it's how you overcome anxiety. You remember that you're in it for something bigger than what this moment is right now. And you recall that. And that love, that passion, that vibe is real. And it's so real that if it's strong enough, you can make robots turn in your direction like a chick.
There's another weird quote.
It's off topic, completely off topic. But I was showing Carol the other day about our. I was like, yeah, we did shorts back in the day. It's really time consuming. We're going to get back there, just trying to figure it out. And I stumbled upon the one where you said pubes on the internet, and Carol's like, "What's pubes?"
Let's not talk about that.
No, but okay. So look, I do want to say this. I want to show this. This is strong right here. So look, dude. At this point in my life, I'm actually looking at some form of disability or some illness diagnosis to give myself that push or motivation to continue on at times. Depression is a tough nut to crack. I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you. And I'm knee deep in it right now. And that's why we want you to come back every Thursday. Because this podcast is unfolding before your very eyes. I was rescued from the literal, like I was dead in the water and was rescued. And I've been busting my ass for 5.5 years now because I refuse to let depression beat me. I refuse to let my life be defined by a silly decision to chase after a hat. I refuse to let all of these recent things, that all these other collateral damage that are coming at me, I refuse to let them get me. I know that this best case scenario version of my life is out there. And as long as I continue to keep believing, it's out there. And I feel like I owe such a debt of gratitude to the universe for giving me a second lease on life that I'm out here every Thursday. I got my best human that I could find to help me in this journey. Every Thursday, we're here to help you guys, sort these things out. There will be times when we're going to bring experts to you, that might help you sort out finances. There might be times we're going to bring experts to you that help you sort out a medical issue. But right now, while we're building, trying to set the tone for this, we're out here just trying to help you keep your mind right and stay focused and remind you that there's something bigger. It's not just about working a 9 to 5 and, just barely getting by, and even if you're wealthy, it's not about all those materials. It's about what are you doing with your life? Are you just busy making money? Are you just alive? Or are you actually getting busy and doing something and making an impact? So I appreciate you sharing that depression is getting to you because it's real. And so, like we mentioned earlier, I was asked by a professional about what I'm doing this time that's helped me avoid medication. And I told them that I imagine somebody's asking me for advice about depression and I follow it. And if anybody, and long before I had really experienced depression in my life, I'd have people ask me about it. And the thing I always tell myself is look for small victories. This is with this anxiety attacks that we're getting and we're starting to feel overwhelmed. How do you get out of it? Think of something that's easy that you can do that will change your mind. And smiling is the easiest thing. I'm not trying to be toxically positive and tell you that it's not real. I'm telling you that it is real. And just like it's real that you can beat it. You can just decide to smile and see how that feels and see if it changes your mind. And if it doesn't, look for small victories. Do some push-ups. I know I can't do push-ups, so I do these. You'll see me doing this because I know that helps me. Even if it's the easiest, most insignificant thing. If I do enough dips, my triceps will get healthier. So I get that small victory real quick. All right. Everything else in my mind right now sucks. I can't thinking about all of my problems. So I'm going to do something that I know is good for me. I'm going to make my triceps stronger and I'm going to just rest in the mindset of I'm getting stronger right now. And if you have to do 15 push-ups, do 15. But do whatever you have to do to get your mind out of that. Remember that it's just this moment and that all this anxiety is only things that you're thinking about. Unless your house is on fire, anxiety is usually just your mind telling you. Okay, so we're here to tell you on the Get Busy Living Project, verse 23.24, that anxiety can be eliminated if you just change your mind, put yourself in that moment just for that and get a small victory. And remember that there's a bigger thing going on here. There's a bigger picture that you have set in the horizon that you're pursuing. And that's what it's all about. And that will help you escape that overwhelming feeling. Just look for a small victory.
You know, you were mentioning this bigger thing on the horizon, this bigger idea. There was something that I struggled with for a long time, coming from a small town like Erie, Pennsylvania, and growing up with not a lot of money, and that's an understatement. Is just learning to believe that things are possible for me. A lot of people feel that, oh, that good thing is for someone else. That's somebody else's life. That could never happen for me. And I think that's a big thing about getting yourself out of your hole, is believing that you are worth good things and that you deserve good things. It may not be a Lamborghini, but it could be a nice car that you work toward. um, I struggled with that for so long. And then when I switched my brain and said, wait a second, all these guys over here have nice things, I can have nice things. And it changed my life, that just knowing that things are possible, I can have nice things, I can have whatever successful business I want. Just believing that was so helpful to me. So, you know, if you're struggling, if you're at the bottom and thinking, I don't I don't know how to get anything good. Well, the first step is believing that you do deserve goodness as much as anybody else.
Yeah, here we got our good vibes lady again.
Mhm.
Your situation and perspective is so helpful to reduce anxiety. Yes, just remember that it's just this moment. It's just in your head. I just saw this. What's up, Darren?
He always has to say, "This is not Trisha."
Oh, I love my sisters, and I love this. I'm glad that you guys showed up this week. We love you in full force. Really, seriously, can't stress enough that this is all happening before our eyes. We're all just trying to figure this out and figure out a way, to repay this debt and get busy living with all you guys together. So, ideally, please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. Like this episode. Believe it or not, liking this episode actually makes a difference. And feel free to copy that link and send it to somebody if you know that they could use a little bit of help with getting past this one moment. I really wish that I had gotten a chance to get to these comments earlier. Look what Jay says. I love this. She says,
Well, let's get to these comments.
yeah, most of the time people just want to be heard, right? That's what we were just talking about. So acknowledge what they're going through by using active listening. Repeat back to the person what they're saying. Saying, I can only imagine is good. I love that, Jay. Thank you. Jay, by the way, I'm trying to get her on the show because this girl's she's full of good vibes, as a matter of fact, and good wisdom. Got my man Biz is in the house. Biz and Michelle saying hello from the OG, reminiscing on when you ran around threw buckets of water on all the servers. So me and Biz used to work at the Olive Garden together. I was the dishwasher, and I used to stand behind they would come up, the servers would come up, and they put their glass racks up here on the top, and then they throw the silverware in this silverware pan of wet water, and then put their dishes. And when they throw their silver in there, it would splash on me, and it would splash right up in my face. I can't tell you how many times I've had spaghetti noodles in my eyelashes because of them. And so I started telling them, the next person that splashes me, I'm spraying their asses. And I had to, I was spraying all the dishes. I started spraying servers, and it got to the point where they were trying to get at me because I was spraying them, and I grabbed the bucket of water. I started throwing the dirty water on people. I wasn't always a good person.
None of us were always a good person. But you know what?
Yeah.
Speaking of good people, I had to disappear a couple times on this podcast because people were interrupting me. But my neighbor came by and gave me snacks from Japan.
Oh, wow. Aww.
And I just want to say that's some serious good vibes. Like when you have a neighbor that nice, it just makes you want to be nice back to your neighbor, and always appreciate your good neighbors, because they're putting out those good vibes, and you live next to each other. You got to deal with each other. Put out the good vibes. Be nice to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Be the person in your neighborhood that they want to bring snacks.
Yes, and accept their generosity. Oh, this is VIP.
Yes.
Lori, so sorry to hear. I hope you don't mind me sharing. So our guy Shafe has had a little bit of a setback recently. He's had a recent diagnosis that has caused him to be a little bit under the weather and recovering. I'll talk to her about that and make sure that she's okay with me sharing that before I put him on blast. But so if you guys, good vibes, lady, smiles, talking about 11 dimensions of superstring theory. So this is solid. Breaks down the universal vibrations being conducted like an orchestra of many, many vibrations. Yes, we are so huge compared to the smallest thing and so small compared to the largest thing. So if you don't know that, go to the Grand Canyon. We'll be there in September. Come get busy living with us in September. Seriously, if you think about the smallest of small things, they are all just vibrations. And in fact, matter, the stuff that we can perceive with our eyes and our ears and our bones and skin, it's completely imperceivable to other things that are even on this planet that we know that are alive. There are so many living things on this planet that could not in any way, shape, or form ever perceive a human. Even though they're living inside of us, they have no way to perceive us, and we have no way to perceive them. And think about the possibilities and what there is out there what's perceivable. And if you think you're having a bad day, just shut yourself off. Shut yourself off. Go back into your own mind. Spend 10 minutes in heaven thinking about your best case scenario. This says energy is real.
And you know what? If you don't have time for that 10 minutes during the day, you definitely have those moments before you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning. And that's when your brain waves are at a different state. And you have to try to use those moments wisely to try to reset yourself.
My man Nate says, he says, that's true. I totally believe that. I've seen it manifested. It's like gravity. Vibes can change everything around us. It is. How do you explain gravity? We don't know how to explain it, but we know it's real, and I'm telling you, I mean, if that story of the chicks adoring the robot and causing the robot to stay on their side of the room doesn't convince you, I got nothing. That is legit. So, and Boozy always comes with the strong. Many people are trying to find some escape to feel peace. I've decided self-destructive means to numb, won't manifest much, but more anxiety and depression. Yeah, so that's why that's why we're calling out toxic positivity. Don't invalidate your feelings. Feel them. Feel them. But keep stay positive. Not on a toxic level, but remember, manifest your destiny. Think about the things that you want. And somehow, just like those robots got attracted or got steered towards the chicks, somehow, we don't know how to explain it, but man, those positive vibes that you put out into the universe, whether they're just raw belief, whether it's an organized religious way of believing, whether it's a God that you think is answering your prayers, or it's a vibration you think is just giving you what you're asking for, man, it's real. Gotta say thank you very much to everybody coming this week. I just got one more thing I want to show you guys. Mm-hmm. When I'm feeling down, I write down my issues and find a solution or a way to cope, or just come back to it later. Read what's bothering me, and most times the issue's over or not as hard to deal with. As long as you don't shut down and you just understand that it's just now, like you said, D-Rex, get in the moment. Realize it's just a moment, and then appreciate the moment. If you're having trouble counting your blessings, start with your two opposable thumbs.
Thumbs are awesome.
Again, guys, come back next Thursday. We're always here, D-Rex. I love you. Thank you very much. Always remember, no matter the weather, always remember, whether sunshine or rain, there's no joy without pain. Always remember, we're all in this together. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah. Thank you, Swede. Thank you, everybody who's here today. See you next time.
Hell yeah.
When you see me, but you gotta believe me. Ain't nothing coming easy my way. No, I fucking wear, but it's a fucking word.